Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Thinking Out Loud. Today, we're going to be talking about content planning, not the generation, not repurposing, but actually how do you plan content that will allow others to engage with you. With me is my wonderful co-host, Katrina Pfannkuch. Hi, Katrina.
Hello, darling. How are you today?
I am so awesome today. I got to spend the afternoon with Michelle Elise Muir downtown Colorado Springs at Seeds Community Cafe. We had a blast.
Oh, so you got to be outside in the awesome weather and hang out with an awesome person. So
Yeah,
you got a total win.
definitely. So, did you have a good day today?
Yeah, I was finishing up on a lot of deadlines, but I did get some fresh air. I'm excited to work on some projects tomorrow. So today I am in a Friday state of mind, working for Saturday, but it'll be good because then I get to relax. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I can't wait. I get to do gardening tomorrow. So much fun.
And we have a guest today.
Yes, with us today is Johan Claeys. Claeys, I messed it up. Johan runs a website called apairofwings.com. And can you tell us how you came up with a pair of wings?
Yeah, actually, hello. I would like to thank you, Arizona and Katrina, for coming up here in the show first. I'm very glad to be here. So in today's vision, and I would like to talk about the title of my company, A Pair of Wings. It has three reasons why I have picked A Pair of Wings as the company name. First, I had an uncle who was an English school teacher who wrote English school books with the name A Pair of Wings. So that's the first explanation. So it's more a sentimental reason. Second has to do with my childhood, where I loved a song from ABBA, which was called Eagle. I love that song so much. And it was about birds flying in the breeze wherever they please. So I love that song as well. So. And the third reason is a story which I have heard from Seth Godin, who was talking about the Icarus deception. And he was talking about Icarus, perhaps you know the person who died in the Greek Sea, nearby the island Samos, and where the father, whose name was Daedalus, and which was a craftsman, said to his son, well, we're going to try to escape here because he was imprisoned. And he came up with a brilliant escape plot, which was, in fact, crafting some fashioned wings, which he crafted for himself and his son. And he warned his son, Daedalus, that he had not to fly too close to the sun. And, of course, the son disobeyed, and he flew too close to the sun, and his wax, which was on his wings, melted, and he tumbled into the sea. So yeah, what's the lesson? Is to obey your dad, of course. The first thing, but also that you don't have to imagine that you're better than someone else. So that you better than you think you are. So stay humble, and that's a little bit of the lesson which we can take. But there is also a part of the myth that not a lot of people know, which is never told, is in fact that the father also told his son that he had not to fly too low, too close to the sea, because the water would actually ruin the lift of his wings. And so yeah, it has everything to do with our society, where we are triggered and always reminded about the dangers. And in fact, yeah, with the world who's changing, we need to be standing out and stand up. So we don't need to be afraid. So again, these wings were an excellent trigger for me. The story was an excellent trigger for me to choose the company name. So therefore, A Pair of Wings.
Yeah. Well, and then tell us a little bit about how it relates to what you do, because I know that there's a very big story behind the pieces that you've put together, and a digital marketing wheel, so to speak, which is, people can sort of see in your overlay there. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about how that plays into the passion and the idea and how you put them all together.
Well, actually, the link between the pair of wings and the digital marketing wheel is rather straightforward. In fact, I have been looking a lot to social media webinars and studied a lot about digital marketing, and I saw that there were some issues with digital marketing because not everybody has a large staff and the funds to hire a digital agency to organize and being able to perform digital marketing. So I was looking especially to the tools which self-power ourselves to automate a maximum with regarding to digital marketing. That was really one of the focuses which I have set. And also gaining a maximum control. So control, and in meanwhile having an affordable solutions as well, which doesn't cost a fortune in money, but also in time. So maximum, it's really a kind of paradox where you have to find the right balance. And again, a pair of wings is also being able to put up your business in that way that you can live and work away from your desk. So especially being focused on cloud-based solutions from Google especially, and being able to collaborate as well in team and get things done really away from the desk, but also by using any device, virtually on any device. So, and the fourth commitment was also being, which triggered me, was also thinking on the promise of the reduction of carbon footprint. So Hangouts are a beautiful tool to be able to do that. So that's a little bit the story with regarding to the focus which I set. Yeah. And when you, so.
And I was going to say, that's really comprehensive. I like how all of those pieces are also part of the things that you're passionate about and how you fit them all together into a marketing model that actually helps people sort of see how what they're creating comes full circle. And I know that our content focus today is mostly on the content planning, but it is important to realize that you have a starting point for your content, and there is a life cycle for that.
It's true. It's a kind of iterative process. Huh? So first, you need, before you do your digital marketing, you need to plan. That's for sure. You have to find out what's your story, what's your mission, what do you want to do, what's the world's greatest need, in fact, and you need definitely to plan that, all that. So you have to put your yellow bird into the coal mine and begin to listen. That's the planning phase. And once you have done that, you have to make sure to put the necessary different hubs. So you need your platforms where you can keep your content together to you. You need your blog, you need your communication and collaboration platform as well, but also your video channel and eventually also a podcasting channel. And all that content is in fact in the create phase where you are really going to put up the different hubs. So text, video, audio, and also search. And in the growth phase, we focus on content marketing. So you're going to use the different channels that you have chosen during the planning phase and do your content marketing on the different promotion channels like Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Twitter, and let's say the most important content marketing and promotion channels. And definitely we have also the measure, which is also important to be able to use a tool like analytics in order to be able to measure your audience and to be able to see if your goals are met, if KPIs are met, if conversions are met. And very important in the last phase, which has everything to do with building a community, because you need to repurpose the content which you have earlier created, and you have to put it available in a community site, which can be on Google+, or perhaps a community site which you have prepared separately. So that's really in a nutshell the digital marketing wheel.
Mm-hmm. That's very comprehensive.
Yeah, but very concise. I like that. I want to go through the shout-outs real quick to our audience. Ron Schneeberger is coming to us from Jupiter, Florida, and he says, yeah, it's showtime. Barbara Quick says hello to everybody. Then we have Craig H., who says, hi, folks, checking in from Western New York. Ron Schneeberger, I wish I were down there where it was warm. So do I. And Dave Pipe is here from Sussex. A little bit late, but he made it.
Yay!
Thank you, Dave.
So in terms of, just the nuts and bolts of how people need to think about content planning just to get started, obviously part of that is their passion. If they're going to be writing or creating content, it's more helpful if it's something that they're passionate about and excited about. So you could kind of start filling us in a little bit about how do you tune into those ideas that get other people engaged and on board with your vision?
Yeah, I think what's very important, in fact, is, of course, like you say, you have to find your passion. For example, if you want to do a business in chocolate, for example, you have to look and find out what you want to accomplish on social and on Google Plus and with regarding to digital marketing. But I think it's very important to do a kind of mind map and to build a kind of story, a kind of storyboard where you're going to outline your message, where you are really going to look into the storytelling, and where you also are going to look for the words which are very important with regarding to your business, the keywords. And therefore you have very great tools which Google provide to help you to find keywords which are relevant for your business and which also convert, which trigger conversion. And I think that's very important that before starting up, that you first look to the words which are affecting your business, and eventually you can also map these words on a sales path, so you can see on different kind of levels which kind of message is important. So, but if you want to have very good ideas about keywords, the best thing that you can do, it's a free service, is in fact to log in Google AdWords. That's a famous auction system from Google where you can buy ads and where you can buy keywords which convert. But they also have a tool which is free, which is called the Keyword Planner tool. And there, in fact, in that tool, you can fill in the words which are affecting your business. And when you fill in these words, you will receive a list of other words which are relative to the word which you have completed. And you can sort them. You can see the number of conversions which are triggered per month. So, and you can in fact distill the most important words, and you can make sure that you use these words when you blog, for example. When you make a blog post, you trigger and you make sure that you're using these words. It's also very interesting for your search, for your SEO, for your ranking, in fact, as well. So it's a very interesting exercise, in fact, to do that for these words. What you also can do, and which I also like, is, for example, if you're going into a chocolate business, for example, you can also fill in the domain of a competitor, for example, and then you will be able to see the keywords that he is using. So, and you can differentiate your business compared to the business of a competitor or a colleague. See, so this is a very, very interesting exercise which I encourage every business to do, really, before starting up. So that's one thing, the keyword thing in Google AdWords. But what you also can do is use these words that you have distilled and fill them in another service which is called Google Alerts.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you have experienced already that service.
I
Katrina?
haven't. I do
I
need to start
have.
using them. Yeah, she has, so she can give some background for you.
And
Do,
it's
do, do,
go ahead.
do you like the service, Arizona?
I do. I like it a lot, and I get mine in daily digest form.
Oh.
Well, that's great.
And
Yeah.
so every evening I get an email, and it gives me a list of all the things that are, artists and authors and things like that, my keywords.
Well, that's great. You're doing the exercise very well, because that's the idea. When you use these keywords and you put them in an alert, it means that you can choose a frequency that information is delivered towards your email, and you can select and choose for information which is provided by news sites or blogs or websites. And in fact, you stay continuously into the know about everything which is related to your business, in fact.
Well, and also, and this may sound egotistical, but I also track my name.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, it's very important how people are referring to me out on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's something that you definitely need to do just to make sure to see what people are saying about your brand, because you are a brand as well, Arizona.
Yeah.
Personal branding. So, but not only your personal brand, but also the products and perhaps competitors, what they are doing. So, what's also very interesting is that you can deliver not only this information through mail, because you can imagine when you have a lot of keywords, it can clutter your email system. So there is a very interesting tool which is called Feedly, which I use to capture the streams in a kind of pre-formatted XML format, which is called RSS. And it means that then the information is delivered straight into a reader. So in fact, you don't need to browse all those websites to see if there is new information. You can have the information delivered in your mail, but it's more suitable to have it delivered in a reader like Feedly. So you have you have one tool, one environment where you can see all the information, all the news items with regarding to your business and your brands and the products and competitors.
Yeah, but isn't it pretty easy to kind of get bogged down in all the data parts too? So when you're actually sitting down to write and you're looking at all this information, I mean, you still have to kind of go with a little bit of a gut feeling about what you're passionate about writing. Because, for example, I write a lot about creativity, which, people may or may not necessarily just search for that word. They're sort of searching for that word in combination with something else, or they're actually more interested in my take on creativity. So when you have all this information in those pieces, like, how do you help people start to tell a story from all of this data?
Yeah, that's in fact the next step. That is in fact the planning phase, because once you have all that information which is coming to you, you have to distill it, and you have in fact to map all that information into your story, in fact. And when you write, it's in fact very important that you always keep in mind your story that you want to tell, your objective. And in fact, you have to make a kind of content marketing plan and a social media plan, because you have to decide which are the promotion channels which I'm going to use to listen first, because you not only can use these Google services to listen, but you can also use the promotion channel, social media channels to listen. You can adhere to different. Yeah, say Arizona. You want to?
Well, you said choose which one you were going to use to listen. I think we ought to be listening to all the ones we choose to use.
In fact, yeah, you have to go where your audience resides. So you have to find out where the people are who are talking about your brands and your products. So, and that you definitely need to check out the different social media platforms like Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn. If you're working in a business-to-business environment, for example, you're going to check out another social platform than, in fact, when you're working in a business-to-consumer platform. So everything depends on what you want to do on social.
Well, and I know a large part of what you're talking about here too is simplifying. So I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm thinking like, okay, now I have to collect all this data and work with all this data. How do I do that in a way that it makes it simpler for me versus just sort of writing what I'm passionate about or I'm clear about? So I think there's also that piece is how much data is too much data and what should you really be paying attention to. That can be a little bit overwhelming for a small business because they're small. And they may be competing with businesses that are already more established or feel like they can't get a foothold because there's only so much time in a day.
That's true. In fact, I think one of the most important things you need to implement are the right filters. So you need to filter the information which is coming to you, because in fact you only have the workday, and you have everything which is social or digital, which comes also with it, in fact. So so it extends your working day, and you may not lose too much focus as well on your business, because in fact you have your workload which you need to perform as well. So I think it's very important when you are writing your story, your content, that you define also a kind of content plan. You have to try to find the information that you want to broadcast, that you want to write about, but you could actually decide to work completely differently. You could actually say, well, let's start from a video, and let's distill the words, the text of the video, and let's convert that into a blog post, so that you automate as much as possible, not to lose too much time, in fact, in order to create the content, to facilitate content creation, in fact. And therefore a kind of content strategic part is very interesting, that you look, okay, which are the different hubs I have, and how is the information that I want to broadcast, how am I going to let it flow through the different hubs. Am I going to start as from a video, and as from there to a podcast, or am I going to start from a video to text, or do I start as from text? So that's what the strategic concerns with regarding to content marketing, in fact. So is that an answer to your question, Katrina?
I think my fear might be that I would get so bogged down in the data and so worried about, oh, I got to use this keyword and I got to use this keyword, that my very message or my heart, my passion in it would be gone. I think that would be my fear.
Yep.
Well, I think authenticity is very important here. It's not a good idea to play copycat. So you have to make sure that you know what your story is going to be, your business objectives, in fact, and that you define in function of your business objectives the different KPIs and the different strategies and segments that you want to reach out to, in fact, and therefore,
KPIs definition.
Sorry, yeah, it's an abbreviation for key performance indicator. So,
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to say, in fact. But what you also need to implement, in fact, is when you have your social media plan, is also your content marketing plan.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have your keywords, you also have to look when are the keywords trending. So, for example, when you're in the chocolate business, you could actually go to Google Trends and find out when is chocolate trending as a keyword. And these are the moments that you have to be there with your story. Because, for example, with Eastern, the Eastern chocolate eggs are very popular, obviously. But on that moment, if you come up then with your story, you're too late, because the keyword will be trending 2 weeks before Eastern. Then people will begin searching for chocolate gifts. So it's very important to map all those trending keywords in your calendar. You have to make a kind of tent pole calendar, I would say, where you're going to put all the events which matter with regarding to your business and your brand. And that can be, of course, national days like the national holiday or Thanksgiving. I believe you have Thanksgiving in the States. Well, all those days you have to put them in your calendar, and as from there, from the tentpole calendar, you have to put up your editorial calendar to make sure when you have to write things and when you have to show up. In fact,
Right.
Okay. Well, we got a great question from Jane too.
Yeah, she wants to know, is there a way to have a list of keywords to hold up your content, to hold your content up against after doing the writing? So in essence, you could write from your heart, but then maybe check against it, against some criteria, so you get the trending keywords in there. And that is a really good question.
Yeah.
Can you rephrase it a little bit, because for me it's a little hard to understand the question.
I think what she's asking is if there's a way, or maybe possibly a tool, that once you write something, so you write from your heart originally, and then you bounce it up against the keywords to just make sure you're using keywords. I think that's what she's asking. Is there a tool, or is there a way that you could suggest doing that?
I will need to list that up. I can't answer that straight away. What I do know is in the keyword tool you can distill the list of keywords, which you can keep to you. You can keep them in a sheet which you print out, and which you can use as a reference to when you're writing your blog posts or your stories, just to make sure that you're using the relevant words that convert. And that you use them in your story. Is that an answer to the question she had?
I think so. Yeah, I know what she's talking about, and I'm not sure there is. I've never heard of a tool that would do that.
Well, like in WordPress, if you're using WordPress specifically, they do have plugins for that will help you check keyword density, within the post, but you have to pick the right keyword for it to show up about if it's relevant. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you've mentioned your keyword this many times, so it's really only checking for that, not necessarily on a broader scale.
Yeah.
I've got to admit I'm not familiar with the tool. I'm using mainly Blogger, and the community is not as large as with WordPress. It's more basic tool, I believe, because I'm more focused on all the Google solutions, because I want to keep it affordable. And what I propose, in fact, is a roadmap with Google for Work, which actually costs $50 per year, so it's not a very expensive tool. And I try to work as from within that ecosystem of Google for Work, in combination with the tools we all know.
Well, Jane says that was exactly what she was asking, because the topic would be there and all written, but then you could change some words to make them relevant. And, I think at that point, just running through with a replace, maybe, do a search in Word or Google Docs, whichever you're using, and then you can replace a word if it's being used too often, because you can't write, and that's another thing that hasn't been brought out, is that if you overload your keywords, Google's going to count that against you
True.
in the Google search. So you can't put chocolate 100 times in a 300-word post or a 500-word post.
Or in every blog post, in fact,
yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
Well, it's hard because I know that Google changes their mind about a lot of things, and some of those trends, sometimes people say, hey, you should be writing a blog post every day and it's shorter. I've seen a lot more trends now that are saying that you should post actually more quality content, doing longer posts. So I think just even within the content planning map, there's so many ways to go.
Mm-hmm.
With regarding to blogging, what the general rule is that you keep your blog posts between 350 and 750 words.
I've heard 250 to 5. So there again, we hear different trends.
Yeah, and then we have also the frequency, of course. If you only blog posts 4 times a month, in fact, you will increase your audience, your traffic with 5. If you make 20 times a blog post a month instead of 4 times a month, so that's I have that from HubSpot, who did an inquiry about that, and who investigated it from 4,000 businesses, I believe, and okay, they say also the frequency is also very important to get your audience.
Here's a nice comment from Dave Pipe, who says, Katrina in Arizona, I'm pinging Peter Hatherley, as I believe he's working on a keyword app.
Oh.
David, I don't know if you're talking about a WordPress app or just an app that we could use on any machine, but I think that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yes, tools that are helpful are always welcome. And I think, to me, it's still that sheer overwhelm of, okay, say you're in business for yourself because it's your passion, but then you're trying to manage all of this data as well to stay competitive. So, what is realistic for someone that's a small business owner where this isn't necessarily their strong suit? They're kind of just following their passion, and they have to be involved with some of these tools in order to have an online business. Is there a way for them to kind of feel comfortable in this sort of space with using very minimal parts of these tools, or do you have some suggestions on people that are sort of in that learning phase?
It was a little bit too long, the question. I didn't understand it well.
Oh, that's okay. Do you have like a sense for beginners where they can start? Because using all of these tools or picking up all this information may be a little overwhelming for someone that's just getting used to them.
And what do you mean with tools? Are you referring to the blogging tools or
I think just in general, this is a lot of information for someone to take in.
Mm-hmm.
If they're working on the whole wheel is one part, but even just with the content planning and maybe they never have used Feedly and they don't necessarily use, the keyword tracker, but trying to put all of these tools together can be a lot of discomfort and sort of challenge because they've never used them before, and it's important, I think, to realize where can they start that feels good.
Well, I think first Google Alerts is really basic. So if you want to really have in a very familiar and easy way content delivered to you, I think that's a huge start. So that's one way. But another way is simply going onto social media and perform searches. In Google Plus, you can search for content. You can check out communities, of course, which are very interesting according to your business to find relevant information, which will help you to inspire you for taking out the relevant content which you can use to map your own story. And the same kind of exercise you can do it on other social platforms as well. But I would definitely start with one. Since we are on Google Plus, I would suggest to start on Google Plus, and as from there, a little bit step by step, look into other tools which might help you further. So just start with the basic, keep it very simple, and as from there you will find other tools which will help your business as well. So that's what I suggest.
Mm-hmm. And we have a running conversation going on out here in the audience. Craig H says, rule of thumb, keyword in title, keyword in first paragraph, and then write naturally. And that's been the way I've always done it. Mm-hmm. Even though I do track with using Google Alerts, I do track my keywords. Mm-hmm. And then, have you heard of NOD3X?
I've heard of it. I don't know really what it is.
I don't either. So, you know, that
isn't it more a data mining tool?
I think it, in the context that I'm reading his comment, it seems like that's the case.
Yeah, so it's a way of tracking trends. Mm-hmm. And then this is the one I really wanted to get to. Is Roland says, we assume that adding keywords would be improving the article, but would the article even be relevant without the keywords at all in the content to start with? And I agree. I mean, you're going to have a certain amount of keywords within your content just to make it relevant to your subject.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think what comes up for me when I'm listening to everybody talk about this stuff is that it's almost like there's so much, it's competition just with other content, right? There's only so much that you can do within your own work to make it sound natural and make it competitive, right? So I think it's important to just use the tools to get you started that clearly tell your story in a consistent way. That I think is most important.
Yeah, I totally agree. Mm-hmm. Well, we are just about out of time. Johan, you got any last-minute words and tell everybody how to find you and yada yada yada?
Well, actually, you can find me at apairofwings.com, so very straightforward. So if you want to find out, it's more about the iterative process, the wheel by itself. Just join me. You can consult me for a hangout, as from the website. So I'm always available for a consultation. So see you up there.
Yeah,
definitely.
Thank you. And people do need help with just pinpointing where they're at on that circle or on the wheel, and really just kind of getting some insight on the pieces they need. So I think that will be very helpful for them. Thank you.
I think so too. You got any last minute words, Katrina? You got a new project coming up, don't you?
I do. I'm not necessarily prepared to talk about it at the moment, but I can tell you guys more at another time. But it's basically a journey into finding the inner leader within yourself, and some really cool ways that I'm going to be collaborating with some folks to do that. So hopefully, actually, I was going to talk with you, Arizona, about maybe we can discuss that a little bit more on one of the other episodes. So that would be cool to kind of have them come on as guests so I can share a little bit more about that. But yep, the leader's journey and trying to kind of tune into what that means for you. So it's exciting stuff. I'm passionate about it, so it'll be fun.
Very cool. Well, I'm Arizona Lowe. I don't even know if I introduced myself. From today'svisions.com, which is a wonderful community for indies, and we're getting a brand new look on April 1st, it appears. I'm crossing my fingers that everything's going to work. Anyway, so I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us, Johan. Katrina, thank you as usual.
Oh, sure thing. It's fun to be here, and it's great to know that there's people like Johan out there that can really help us tune into what we need next in our own iteration of our journey online.
I totally agree.
Thank you all, Katrina.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Bye.